Oh Dear by Jack Archer. Chapter 1. Before 1632. Jesus Christ, my head. The steady drips of rain pelted my burning skin as I laid unimpressively in the road. At least this could have been the road. There were certainly a bunch of what felt like pebbles sliding up my ass crack. I pried open an eye, caked with blood, and was rewarded with a raindrop falling directly into my eyeball. I shut it immediately. I was in a vacuum. I had slammed my head so hard against the pavement I couldn't tell where I was. What part of me was broke? Who was around me at the moment? Focus. Focus on the sensations. Sight wasn't playing nice. What sense was next? Sounds started coming to me. It was as if I had never heard them before. Deep thunder snaking across the lands to greet me, water flowing under the sewers, and a curious absence of everything else. I tried to remember the last few hours, the last few days. What happened? Go slow. The sounds were there. Rocks stabbed unforgivingly into my back. A pain somewhere in my lower body. I could smell rain. Something burning. More rain. Time to open my eyes. This time I turned my head to the side, away from the falling water, and pried them open again. I noticed several things. My car, upside down. My leg, at an angle it shouldn't be. My elbows dragged along the sharp asphalt when I pulled myself into a half-sitting position, barely noticeable as I inspected my leg. Everything was fuzzy, draped in a gray haze and red around the edges. Movement on the horizon made my eyes snap up before they were ready, their muscles pulling at my already throbbing head. It was tricky to make out, but there were people coming. Lots of people. Not people. I had to go. I would be lying if I said running on a twisted leg wasn't painful, but it didn't seem to slow me down as much as I thought it would. I hauled down the highway, far from my broken car, my broken life, whatever the hell else I left behind. The tears were hot and stung my skin and flowed freely. It was all gone. I felt awful, defeated, dead. I must have run for an hour, 2 hours, so many hours. But the sky was still gray and greenish, and crying as hard as I was. Something in the road tripped me, and I launched forward, stupidly flinging my hands out to brace my fall. I felt my wrists strain and roll underneath me, my shoulders skidding across the pavement as I lay in the middle of the road for the second time that day. Oh, fuck! I half expected a murder of crows to fly out of a nearby tree at my exclamation, but there were no such theatrics. My ears hurt at the outburst, and I suddenly felt silly. There was no one here, even the crows had gone. I listened intently but couldn't hear the rumble of feet coming towards me, and I let out a sigh of relief. It felt so good to simply lay there, letting the rain cool down my smoldering skin. Thoughts of my car flipping onto its roof wavered through my head and my brow furrowed, trying to hold on to them before they slipped away. Had I left in such a rush that I brought nothing with me but the clothes on my back? How did I expect to survive out here with nothing but a broken leg and a fever? I was so tired, and laying down felt so good. I didn't want to think anymore. I didn't want to remember whatever the hell it was that ripped me from my safe house and into this hellish nightmare. I wanted to sleep. So I did. A twitch in my leg jolted me awake. The sky was dark. Or my vision was going out. Disturbed whispers slithered out to me from the trees, and I felt my skin go cold. I had to keep going. How long had I been running? Or driving? It was frustrating to dig around in the dark recesses of my mind for simple information, such as, when was the last time you ate, or what was home like when you left it? But I knew what home was like. It was lonely. The only thing in my stupid apartment was me and a couple of plants that died within 3 months of their acquisition. 2 jars of mayonnaise in the fridge because I kept forgetting I still had them. Packages and packages of crackers filling up my work desk because I ate nothing else. Come to think of it, maybe I could survive this apocalypse after all. I barely noticed my aching bones now and hobbled along, a painfully slow race with the sun as it slipped away and left me to fend for myself. I had always hated the dark. Now I suppose it hated me too. I stopped for a moment to catch my breath, sharp stitches in my side and a stabbing pain at the base of my throat. A twig cracked somewhere to my right, and I whipped my head around to face it. Well, what was left of it. It looked like a proper zombie, its slack-jawed face gazing passively at me from across the street. Clothes hung from it in ribbons. Blood poured freely from a wound in its side. I would have been disgusted, but remembered I probably looked no different. We stared at each other intently. We could have stayed there for hours, but the click of a flashlight blinding us through the creeping darkness. The zombie's head rolled on its creaking neck and faced the source dead on, eyes half-focused and filled with an infinite sadness I might never know. "Hello?"